13-208. Call upon the subject matter chair, Vice Chair Anderson, for the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that Committee Report 269 be added to the agenda.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Anderson.
Mr. Chairman, Committee Report 269 relates to Resolution 13-208 CD1, granting a special management area use permit and shoreline setback variance to construct portions of the Honolulu Rail Transit Project. Furthermore, Mr. Chairman, this particular item was heard by the Zoning Committee on Monday.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Members, any discussion on the matter of adding this particular matter to the agenda? No discussion. Any objections, members? Noting no objections, reservations, noting no reservations, Committee Report 269 has been added to the agenda. Vice Chair Anderson, to motion to adopt.
Mr. Chairman, I move that Committee Report 269 and Resolution 13-208 CD1 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and I think the description has already been given. Okay, we're going to take testimony on this particular matter. I'm going to call the testifiers in the order of their registration. Cindy McMillan, followed by Mitchell Tainanis, followed by Tyler Dos Santos Tam, followed by Shannon Olivaro. Cindy here? Oh yeah, there she is.
Chair Martin, members of the committee, thank you very much. Cindy McMillan for the Pacific Resource Partnership. We are very strongly in support of this resolution. We believe that the merits, further details have been looked at, and we have a very solid SMA-SSB application here. In terms of the rail project itself, of course, PRP is also very strongly in favor of that project, and we respectfully ask for your support for this this resolution and moving the project forward. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? No questions. Next testifier, please, sir. State your name for the record. Offer your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chair Martin, council members. My name is Mitchell Tainanis. I'm speaking on behalf of the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters. The Hawaii Carpenters Union is in full support of Resolution 13-208. We've submitted our written testimony and we stand by our testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitchell. Members, any questions for the testifier? No questions. Next testifier, Tyler Dos Santos Tam, followed by Shannon Olivaro, followed by Pono Chong, followed by Mary Jean Castillo.
Hi. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Tyler Dos Santos Tam. I'm the Executive Director of the Hawaii Construction Alliance, which represents the state's 15,000 unionized carpenters, laborers, masons, and operating engineers. We stand in strong support of this resolution today. Approval of this resolution will allow Hart to resume construction on the rail transit project, which will provide commuters with a much-needed alternative, which will create construction jobs for many of our members who have been out of work for quite some time. It will create the opportunity for transit-oriented development and help to create a more green and sustainable future. So we encourage you to approve this resolution and allow Hart and our workers to get back on track to delivering a world-class transit system that we can be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Members, any questions? No questions? Thank you. Shannon Olivaro, followed by Pono Chong, followed by Mary Jean Castillo.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members. Shannon Olivaro on behalf of the General Contractors Association, and if the Chair would oblige, if I could comment also on 13208, if it's okay, with respect to the other rail reso being considered this morning. We are in strong support of these resos. We are very positive that we see the project moving forward, and these are the procedural issues that need to be considered by this body, and we respectfully ask for your support. On a personal note, living in cities where rail and bus work together and relying only on those modes of transportation, I can personally vouch and I think just express my excitement of what is to come to this city and the options it will provide, not only for our students, not only for our residents, but for our visitors. I think the discussion regarding the access to transportation is very limited with respect to other universities that are going to be on this transit line. We're talking Tokai, UH West Oahu, Leeward Community College, HPU. So I think the options of travel alternatives that this project will provide is exponential, and I respectfully request that this body keep that in mind and move this project forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Members, any questions for the testifier? If not, Ronald Chong, followed by Mary Jean Castillo.
Chair members, thank you for this opportunity to testify. The Chamber of Commerce is in strong support. We represent about 1,000 businesses with over 200,000 employees. We think that supporting this will help the project get back on track and is very important to quality of life and the overall economic development for both the county and the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? No questions, thank you. Mary Jean Castillo?
Good afternoon, Chair Martin and members of the committee. My name is Mary Jean Castillo, Vice Chair for Philippines for Rail. I am here to testify in support of Council Resolution 13-208 and 13-203. I live near Aloha Stadium, and the section of H1 freeway near my house has some of the worst congestion traffic in the nation, according to the recent traffic studies. For me, my neighbors, and tens of thousands of people living in Leeward and West Oahu who must travel this highway on a daily basis, the rail project cannot come soon enough. I urge you to pass this resolution and approve the SMP, the shoreline setback, and the master agreement with the state DOT. Approval of these measures is the only thing needed to resume construction of the rail transit project, which will bring relief to tens of thousands of commuters and deliver economic and other benefits to Oahu and the neighborhoods along the route. The sooner construction resumes, the sooner we will be able to enjoy these and other benefits the project will deliver. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Members, any questions for the testifier? No questions, thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Okay, that's the end of our list of registered testifiers. Is there anyone else on 13-208 CD1?
Please, sir. Thank you. Aloha, and thank you very much. Al Isabel, Hawaii Laborers Union. We support, of course, 13-208 and 203 strongly. But today I want to thank especially two people that made this possible. Councilwoman Pine and her committee brought forward the resolutions, and Councilman Anderson brought forth the two resolutions to the floor. These people made possible the action today, and if you heard from Hart, he saved the city taxpayers $57 million, so what an action. So thank you very much, and we support the resolutions, and we hope that this project will move forward. Thank you, sir.
Members, any questions for the testifier? No questions? Next.
Aloha, Chair Martin, Vice Chair Anderson, and members of the City Council. My name is Peter Lee. I'm with Hawaii Listed. Hawaii Listed is the acronym for Laborers, Employers, Cooperation, Education Trust. We have a partnership between the Laborers Union Local 368 and its union signatory contractors. We have submitted written testimony for both Resolution 13-208 and 13-203. We are in strong support for both, and thank you very much.
Members, any questions for the testifier? No questions? Next testifier, thank you, sir.
Good morning, Chair, Council members. Gladys Maloney on behalf of the Building Industry Association of Hawaii. You should have our testimony in support of both resolutions 203 and 208. And, it's clear that rail is about jobs and housing and focusing development along the rail line with transit-oriented development. But we also see rail as a growth management tool, managing the growth that we are definitely going to have in the next decade or two. We've come a long way, and we applaud this council's work and support of the rail project, and we urge your favorable consideration today to get our rail project back on track, pun intended. And thank you for the opportunity to provide you testimony today. Thank you.
Okay, members, any questions for the testifier? Any questions on that one? No? Some senators think they can do this. That's my job. Next testifier. State your name for the record, offer your testimony.
Barbara Evantrop for the record. Again, I'm a member of Neighborhood Board 5, but I'm speaking as an individual. As you go forward on this today, please, City Council, please keep on track on the financial on this. I don't want to see any bus riders shorted by any money being used that shouldn't be used, that's needed for the bus riders, for the rest of the people on the island that won't be near the rail. I want to make sure that any funds that are in the business plan for Hart 5307, 5309, bus and handy van acquisitions, none of that is short-sighted, and I hope that you keep your eye on that ball. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Members, any questions for the testifier? No, thank you. Next, state your name for the record after your testimony.
Aloha, Georgette Stevens. Aloha, Chair Martin, and members of the Honolulu City Council. I am speaking today representing the members of the West Oahu Economic Development Association, also known as WODA, and testifying in support of Resolutions 203, the master agreement between Hart and the state DOT, and 208, the special management area permit for the Honolulu Rail Project. Our association is made up of businesses, community, and government leaders dedicated to supporting the economic growth in West Oahu. Our area is the fastest growing population and business base in the state, with a number of businesses here doubling in the past 10 years and many more expected in the future as Kapolei builds out. For business, time is money. Traffic congestion adds unnecessarily to the cost of doing business. Many of us, our employees and our customers, have to travel regularly between downtown Honolulu and Kapolei. Delays due to traffic are more often the norm rather than the exception. WODA believes that the rail project is vital to the success and well-being of the new city of Kapolei. We strongly support the rail project because it will reduce future traffic congestion, make it easier to travel between town and West Oahu, and improve the business climate of our island. For these reasons, we urge you to please approve these resolutions, which will allow rail construction to finally resume. Mahalo for allowing me to testify.
Thank you for your testimony. Members, any questions? No questions? Thank you. Next testifier, please, sir.
Good afternoon, Chair, Council members. Kika Bukowski on behalf of the Hawaii Building and Construction Trades Council, AFL-CIO. We'd like to offer our support of this resolution 13-208 CD1. And Chair, in respect for time, we'd also like to ask for your indulgence and to offer our support for the next resolution 13-203. Thank you.
Okay. Members, any questions for the testifier? No, thank you. Next testifier, please, sir. Step forward, state your name for the record, offer your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the council. Bob Nakata with FACE. I didn't really want to speak again, but need to keep saying that our reason for supporting these resolutions and the rail project is the need for affordable rental housing in our city. And everybody else is saying that, so I thought I'd better repeat that. This is the reason we have supported the rail system all along, that there is a need for transportation systems, because we believe that to get truly affordable rental housing, density needs to be greater, and we also need to be able to move around on the streets. So reasons for our supporting rail is affordable rental housing. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Any questions for the testifier? No, thank you, sir. Anyone else on resolution 13-208 CD1?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Natalie Vasa for the record, testifying on both 208 and 203. I'm not convinced that moving forward at this point is the right thing to do, given that we have a major lawsuit that has significant decisions pending before us. But I also wanted to raise concerns about how we're going to pay for the operations once this train is done, assuming it does go forward. It's going to be subsidized by taxpayers. There's no question about that. The only question is by how much. And given that, there are things that need to be put in motion now in order to be able to do that, so that we don't face a shock when we get these operation costs that are going to be coming through. So I'm really concerned about the financial aspects of this project and the impact it will have on all of us in the future. And what I see is a lack of planning for that at this time. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Members, any questions? Any questions? Anyone else on Resolution 13-208? CD1? Sir, please state your name for the record, offer your testimony.
Chair, Council, my name is Willie Holly. When I was a young fellow, my dad said, son, if you ever see a train coming, put something up between you and the train, even if it's just the thickness of a cigarette paper. So I'm here today to offer my cigarette paper. As a member of the public, I fail to understand why is it at this time, this late date in the construction process, or et cetera, and now that Hart is asking for permission to use certain properties. It was stated by one board member that it was 3 or 4 sections, but according to the list here, that involves approximately 20 different sites. My first question is, why is this taking so long to get approval to use this property? Second question is, resignation of the construction project was mandated by the court on completing the archaeological studies. Well, if Hart is now requesting permission to get into these special areas, how was the archaeological section done? How was the study done if they're just now getting permission to use those properties? As far as the archaeological study itself, I'm sure that you're all aware that SHIFTY, the organization who recently, according to Hart's memo, just okayed the archaeological study for the last 4 or 5 years, and probably even longer, has been under scrutiny by a lot, including the federal government. They're currently on basically probation for a year to see if they can upgrade their services and become more reliable. The fact that this was done in record time, 2 months earlier as a matter of fact, with a staff that has proven to be very deficient, and I just it's enough of concern in that area to warrant further scrutiny by this council. It was stated a moment ago that you're saving $2.3 million and $3.8 million by this early passing of it. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, it was the council in the city who initially passed this resolution a year ago that caused us to be here today. So if we'd done it right the first time, we wouldn't be here. So I ask that you gave yourself until the 29th, according to what I had read, to make a final decision. Give yourself time because this really is important. You don't want to, and the public doesn't want you to make a mistake again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Members, any questions for the testifier? No questions? Anyone else on Resolution 13-208 CD1? Now, members, we're going to move to discussion. Members, we are in discussion. Councilmember Monahan.
Sure. Is the executive director of Hart going to testify on the measure?
You can call him up to during discussion if you have questions for him. Okay, we're going to call him up. Request for the executive director, please, from Hart. Please step to the podium.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the City Council. My name is Dan Grabowskis. I'm the Executive Director of Hart.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grabowskis, for coming today, and I noticed you're wearing a very nice suit today.
And blue as well.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I had a few concerns during the Zoning and Planning Committee hearing that I just wanted to, again, just re-clarify. Which actually I didn't hear today. At the zoning and planning meeting, I guess the reason for, fast-tracking this measure was to save the city money. Is that correct?
By the action of the zoning committee to take up the matter shortly after we had received approval by the State Historic Preservation Division by setting up a special zoning committee, which Chair Anderson did, rather than having to wait another month, we were able to inform the committee and the public that given the costs of delay, that the action of that committee The action, we hope, from this council today will save about a month's delay, and that delay is probably in excess of $3 million for the month.
Okay, and then, well, again, you know, keeping in the spirit of keeping it on time and on budget, I guess. The way you figured out your cost savings, with the pending lawsuit, what are the potential outcomes that could possibly come out of that?
You mean the federal case or the state Supreme Court case?
Well, I guess during the zoning and planning committee, Councilmember Minor asked some questions with regards to, as far as procedural questions, and basically, he testified that moving forward does not necessarily put this project in a better position from a legal standpoint.
This is relative to the federal case. And I'll clarify, the state Supreme Court case is the case that dealt with the archaeological inventory survey and the interpretation by the state Supreme Court that the State Historic Preservation Division had erred in giving the go-ahead for the project until all of the archaeological survey for the full 20 miles had been done. That particular case, the Supreme Court case, has been virtually completed, and I say that because several months ago, the plaintiff in the case and her attorney, as well as we entered into a stipulation, an agreement on all the terms and conditions that had been set forth by the Supreme Court and delivered that to the lower court. What was then required of us after the entry into the stipulation was to then comply with Chapter 6E of the state law. And so that was what required us to do the archaeological surveys, the trenching activities, then the reports, and then to work with the State Historic Preservation Division to get those reports reviewed and edited and approved. And that approval came on the 29th of August. So for all intents and purposes on the Supreme Court side, our actions have been completed, and that's what's allowed us to come forward to you today to request your approval of the zoning special management area zoning approvals to allow us to go back to construction. On the questions that Councilmember Minor asked, I think had to do more specifically with the federal case. And the federal case has got sort of the two actions that are taking place, and I'll try to do the general overview, and if it's more technical, I'm sure someone from Corporation Counsel could get into the detail, but for all intents and purposes, we're currently pending in front of the Ninth Circuit Court in San Francisco, where there's been an argument made as to the merits of the case and also as to the jurisdiction, whether or not it's appropriate for the Ninth Circuit to be reviewing the case at this time, and we're waiting for a final decision from them on that. At the same time, as you know, Judge Tashima locally had ruled that in reviewing the federal challenge to our environmental impact statement, where about 57 different items were looked at by the plaintiff saying, I think you did this wrong. Judge Tashima reviewed that body of requests for review by the plaintiffs, and in all but three areas of the 57 ruled in favor of the project. And those other three areas require of us to do some additional studies and some additional reviews. One was to study the Baratania Street tunnel alternative for its cost effectiveness and its efficacy to serve the same purposes as our current alignment, and then the impact on the state on the action on the Mother Waldron Park. So those two reports have been done, and those are pending in front of, we'll shortly be going back to Judge Tashima after the work that we can complete. And then the third piece was the traditional cultural properties report that was required to be completed for the fourth phase. So the question about our work on the federal case continues. We hope that we'll be able to resolve Judge Tashima's ruling by satisfying him that we've complied with his order, and we hope to do that in the next number of weeks. And once we're able to do that, then we believe that the plaintiffs would then have an opportunity to follow the legal procedures, and if they chose, could appeal that.
So is it possible, I mean, we're hoping certainly for a positive outcome, but are there possibilities of a negative outcome? And what are the possibilities if the outcome is negative? I mean, what kind of a decision could be rendered?
Yeah, I know you asked me the same question at the committee hearing. Vegas still isn't giving the odds on our winning or losing the case, except to say that we feel very strongly that at this point, having given due consideration to the work that has been given to us by the courts and the favorable review by the courts, we're feeling very confident that we're in a very good position to comply with the judge's orders and to be able to move forward. So I can't predict what the court will do, but based on the current law as it's in front of us, with the compliance with the Supreme Court case, we're now required to go forward and go back to construction with your approval today.
Well, okay. So if cost is a consideration, and I can understand how you can quantify your cost based on the delays, have you done a cost analysis, I guess, of possible decisions and, you know, if it's not a positive decision, what are different scenarios, I guess, and how much would those cost if we go forward with a build? And then they say, well, I don't know, I mean, what could they say? And they say, well, Mr. Vasquez, maybe you have to take these down.
This is all speculation on my part. They could ask us to do some additional review over and above, for instance, what Judge Tashima has asked us to do. What that would mean, depending on exactly what they ask us, was that we may take additional time to do that additional work. But I'll give you, for instance, I mean, even the work that Judge Tashima gave to us to do to supplement the record, his injunction from construction activity only affects the city center area. So if, for instance, he would ask us to do some additional work on either the environmental impact statement, supplemental impact statement we've already done, or even to look at some other things in the city center area, that would not affect our ability to go back to construction in West Oahu, as this current case doesn't. So we wouldn't even be expecting to be doing work in the city center area until, say, 2014. So we still have, I guess maybe one way to answer your question is, we still have more time to do additional work if that's what was requested by the court. But meanwhile, we wouldn't lose any time or money, as you'd say, because we'd be able to go back to construction in West Oahu.
Can you guarantee us the cost savings? And if so, how much?
I think people are often popularly saying at this point, we say that there's no guarantees in life, but I can tell you that it is certain that with every day that passes, every workday that passes, we're about $200,000 in terms of losses to this project sitting idle. Given the fact that we believe we've now complied with the Supreme Court decision and the Hawaii laws, and the injunction from the federal judges only in the city center area, we think that it's absolutely the right decision financially and for the schedule to go back to construction as soon as possible at West Oahu.
But you're still assuming that the pending litigation is going to go your way, or hoping that it's going to go your way, right?
Every large project of public works has always the potential for a lawsuit that could come tomorrow that we don't know about. But you can't really operate that way. You've got to operate under the constraints that the law or the circumstance of the day gives you. With the action of this council being favorable today, we'll be able to go back to construction in West Oahu, which means that we'd stop the delay claims and actually be putting money into salaries for workers who are idle and into equipment that's idle and actually start building the project.
Okay, so in terms of financing, I guess, okay, so let's say the SME moves forward, you folks start construction, maybe you folks going to start, how are you going to pay for it?
How are we going to pay for?
I mean, how are you going to pay for the construction? Are you floating the bonds already that you...
all of the money that has been used in the project thus far has been a combination of two sources. One is the GET, the General Excise Tax. We've collected just over $1 billion thus far in terms of the GET. And the other source, about 30% of the funding, has come from reimbursements by the Federal Transit Administration. As you know, in December, we were awarded $1.55 billion towards the project, and we've already received several $100 million of that, either directly as reimbursement for work done, or is sitting in an account in Washington DC for reimbursement for work that will hopefully begin as soon as next week. So there have been no bonds yet floated on this project. Everything has been financed through the GET or federal funds.
Right. So for this year, I guess, are you planning to float bonds?
Not in this fiscal year, no.
Not in this fiscal year. Okay. So where's the 700 or your CIP money coming from this year then? Your CIP money is coming just from the federal funding and the GET?
The money to pay for the project is coming from two sources, the GET that's been collected, as well as the federal money that we will seek reimbursement for the work that's going to be done. And I can report to this committee, or this council, that we've, right now, for instance, in our bank account have approximately $430 million in funds that we've accumulated from those from the GET, as well as a couple $100 million plus that is now been approved by the United States Congress for the project. So we have ample resources to continue through this fiscal year with those two sources of funds.
Okay, well, I hope you understand that I do have to ask these questions in the spirit of, I'm going to quote there was a great editorial actually the other day, and it said that the essence of most environmental regulation, being concerned about what's being placed in your backyard, shows anything but ignorance. And that was the Star Advertiser editorial on the 10th. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you for answering my questions. And at least for now, those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you. Good question. I don't think you have to explain or provide any rationale for questioning anybody in regards to this project, the most significant public works project that this state has ever endeavored towards. Anyone else have questions for the Executive Director? Councilmember Kobayashi.
Thank you. You keep talking about the money we're saving and the delays, etc. But, we signed the contracts in 2009. And so could you give us an accounting of how much the delay will cost us because we signed the contracts, I felt, too early. And even FTA told us not to sign them in 2009. There was no way we could have a groundbreaking, or we could go out in the field with a shovel and have our own groundbreaking. But signing the contracts in 2009, could you provide my office or the chair's office with the amount that's spent because of that? Signing too early, I feel. And also, could you provide us the amount that you're spending on the plans to finish the locally preferred, the LPA to the University of Hawaii? Thank you.
Absolutely will.
Okay. Any further questions for the Executive Director? Since he's up here with his nice suit, which I beg to differ. But anyway, any further questions? No further questions? Okay, thank you. Members, we are in discussion. Thank you, Executive Director. Members, we are in discussion. Any further discussion, members? Councilman on this particular? Yes.
Yes, I'll be voting with reservations because of the financial implications. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Monaghan.
Thank you very much. I'll be voting with reservations. I understand, again, we need to move this project forward, and I know how important it is. However, we're approving an SMA without a presentation from Hart, and this was brought up at the hearing, with regards to the ACOM contract and what's actually going to be built there. The City Council has not been made aware, or the presentation has never been made before this council, at least not before me. I think that's a very big consideration. It's a $38.8 million contract that we don't really know about. We're just approving the footings for now. But again, I understand the importance of this, but I'm not convinced that there is a cost savings without Hart considering the possibility of negative outcome from the courts. And we should be able to quantify that if, they're going to do a build maybe 1, 2, 3 years out and look at those scenarios. And without a real cost analysis, for me, I think, this is kind of like a roll of the dice. I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot as far as saving money. But again, I understand the importance of the project, so I will be voting with reservations.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any further discussion? Floor leader, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. While I understand some of the concerns that were voiced both here as well as in the committee, I think we have to take a step back and look at what is the matter at hand, which is really the SMA. And I think if we talk to DPP, they will tell you that the SMA discussion is really a limited scope of just the potential environmental impacts of what is being proposed. While we're all concerned about the merits of the project, the finances, the lawsuits, I think when we look at what is before us today, the SMA does not deal with that. Certainly a good discussion, good questions, but if we look at just the SMA, I heard no reason for concern regarding the SMA. Again, I state for the record, which I stated in committee, that when we look at the scope of the SMA, it is almost entirely within my district. And I have not heard any concerns regarding the SMA itself, so I speak in strong support of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Floor Leader. Any further discussion, members? Madam Vice Chair Anderson as the subject matter committee to have the final remarks. Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd also like to thank the members of the Committee on Zoning and Planning for helping us to get to this point today. Mr. Chairman and colleagues, construction on our road project has been halted for more than a year now. And the cost of this halt in construction to date is reportedly more than $30 million. I do not take lightly any request for a special meeting of the Zoning and Planning Committee, which I chair. Had the Zoning and Planning Committee waited until the next regularly scheduled committee meeting on September 26th, it was reported to us that the city could have incurred more than $3 million in additional delay costs. I approved the special hearing of the Zoning and Planning Committee this past Monday as my attempt to assist in avoiding these additional delay costs. Every day of delay, our city's taxpayers continue to pay construction delay costs. Every day of delay, many of our working brothers and sisters lose very valuable wages. Every day of delay, the families of our working brothers and sisters continue to suffer financial hardship. And every day of delay, the people of the city and county of Honolulu continue to incur additional costs. Honolulu's mass transit project will offer additional workforce housing units through transit-oriented development, and it will also offer additional working and employment opportunities across the community through transit-oriented development through its implementation. Moving this SMA forward today will allow the delivery of the mass transit project to the people of Honolulu. It's the project that they deserve, Mr. Chairman. And over the past few years, it's the project that our voters have consistently supported. With that, I humbly ask for my colleagues to join me today in moving this forward.
You know, we live in such a great country, and when my grandpa came from the Philippines many years ago to live his lifehood dreams, what he was so amazed about America is that we could have so many different opinions, and that's okay. But in the end, every fight must come to an end. And as leaders, we need to move on for the sake of our people. When we talk about what has cost us in different phases of this project, there have been a lot of costs. And because of our differences throughout our island, there have been lawsuits that have cost us a lot. There have been elections that have cost us a lot. I think there has been great discussion on this project, and it is time to move on. As the council member from the Leeward Coast that sees traffic within my community as well as on the freeway every day, we believe in this project, and we see this as something that will be great for our future, for our children's future. I want to thank the Director of Transportation in Hart for working closely with the state to finish this agreement. I wish they worked this closely
for all of the projects that they do. Because there's some really great things in this agreement. To relieve traffic that is normally caused by any construction project. Work, of course, will be done at night, and they will work with the community of that area. They will even install additional traffic cameras to improve remote corridor visibility, and they'll also add this to several websites so people can look on the website before they travel. They'll even install additional intelligent transportation system devices to track the travel time through the area so that people know how long it will take to take a certain route. They will adjust traffic signal timing to offer more green time to main highways during construction hours. They'll use digital message boards as they normally do and do more advertising than they've ever done before for any particular upcoming construction project. I hope this sets a precedent in how the city and the state works together on all construction projects to mitigate traffic. So I hope, and I want to thank the chair for allowing us to hear this today, and I hope my members can support this request to pass this today.